man sits in a crowded subway car. Two children are running wild, screaming, climbing on seats, bothering passengers. Everyone is annoyed. The father sits there, does nothing, just stares blankly ahead. Finally, someone snaps. "Excuse me, Ken, you control your kids." The father blinks, like he's waking from a trance. "Oh, I'm sorry. We just came from the hospital. Their mother died an hour ago." I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either. Everything shifts. The irritation vanishes. Suddenly, the same situation, same noise, same chaos feels completely different. Nothing external changed, but the way people saw it completely transformed. That story is the entry point to one of the most important books ever written on human effectiveness. Because this isn't a book about productivity hacks or time management tricks. This is about something far more powerful and far more uncomfortable. The way you see the world is shaping every decision you make, and most people never question it even once. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey has sold over 40 million copies worldwide. It's been translated into nearly 50 languages. CEOs, athletes, educators, parents, people across every field credit this book with fundamentally changing how they operate. But here's what most people misunderstand. This is not a self-help book. It's a character-building manual. Covey isn't teaching you how to get more done in less time. He's teaching you how to become the kind of person who naturally produces lasting results in work, in relationships, in life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why most success advice focuses on surface-level techniques, while ignoring the foundation underneath. You'll see why character always beats personality in the long run. You'll learn the difference between being reactive and being proactive, and why that gap determines almost everything about where your life goes. You'll discover why effectiveness isn't about doing more, it's about doing what actually matters. And you'll understand the framework that allows some people to build lives of deep meaning, balance, and contribution, while others, no matter how hard they work, stay stuck in patterns they can't escape. Stay until the end. The 7th habit is the one that makes all the others sustainable, the shift nobody talks about. Stephen Covey opens this book with a story from his own life. For years, he and his wife struggled with one of their sons. The boy was struggling in school, socially awkward, didn't fit in. Covey tried everything. Positive reinforcement, encouragement. He read parenting books. He worked on communication. Nothing changed. Then Covey had a realization that stopped him cold. He wasn't seeing his son. He was seeing his perception of his son compared to social norms, compared to other kids, compared to what Covey thought success should look like. He was trying to fix a problem that only existed in his own mind. And this is where most people get it wrong, because the problem wasn't the child. It was the lens. The moment Covey shifted his paradigm, his fundamental way of seeing everything changed. Not because his son changed. Because Covey stopped seeing him through comparison and started seeing him as he actually was. The pressure lifted. The relationship healed. Progress followed naturally. This is the foundation of everything in this book. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. Your perception is shaped by conditioning, experience, assumptions you've never examined. And until you examine them, you will keep getting the same results no matter how hard you try. Covey calls this paradigm shift, and it's the difference between surface-level change and transformation that actually lasts. Character versus personality. Here's the uncomfortable part. For the last several decades, most success literature has focused on personality. Your image, your techniques, your behavior in public, how to win friends, how to influence people, how to present yourself effectively. None of that is wrong, but Covey argues it's built on sand if there's no foundation underneath. Personality-based success is fragile. Character-based success is sustainable. But here's where things get genuinely uncomfortable, because you probably learned the wrong model first. Think about the advice you've received your whole life. Fake it till you make it. Learn the right body language. Master small talk. Smile more. Project confidence. All personality. And when personality is all you have, you spend your entire life performing, exhausting yourself trying to manage how others see you. Character is different. Character is who you are when nobody's watching. It's the principles you operate from even when it's inconvenient. Integrity, honesty, human dignity, fairness. These aren't techniques, they're foundations. And you can't fake them long term. Covey studied success literature going back 200 years. For the first 150 years, almost all of it focused on character virtues like temperance, courage, justice, humility. Then something shifted. The last 50 years became obsessed with personality, image, shortcuts. And the result, a culture full of people who look successful on the surface, but feel hollow underneath. The 7 habits aren't tricks. They're character-building tools, and they follow a specific sequence, because you can't skip steps without collapsing the structure. Private victory before public victory. Covey divides the 7 habits into 2 major movements. Habits 1, 2, and 3 are about private victory, mastering yourself. Habits 4, 5, and 6 are about public victory, working effectively with others. Habit 7 is the renewal that sustains everything. You cannot skip private victory and jump to public victory. If you can manage yourself, you can lead others. If you're reactive, undisciplined, unclear about your own direction, trying to build deep relationships or effective teams will fail. Not because the techniques are wrong, because the foundation isn't there. And this is exactly where most people unknowingly fail. They try to master relationships before mastering themselves. Think about it. Someone who can't control their own emotions tries to manage a team. Someone with no personal vision tries to inspire others. Someone who can't prioritize their own time tries to delegate effectively. It doesn't work. The structure collapses under its own weight. So Covey begins where real change begins. With you, alone, in private, before anyone else is watching. Habit 1, be proactive. The first habit is the foundation of everything that follows, and it's simpler than it sounds. But most people violate it constantly without realizing. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom, your ability to choose how you respond. Proactive people live in that space. Reactive people don't even know it exists. Here's what reactive looks like. Something happens. Criticism. A rude email land. You react automatically. Anger, frustration, blame. Your emotional state is controlled entirely by external conditions. If the weather is good, you're happy. If someone is rude, you're upset. You've handed control of your inner life to the outside world. But here's what nobody wants to admit. People aren't weak. They just don't realize they have a choice. Proactive people recognize the gap. They understand that no matter what happens, they control their response. Not the event, the response. Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps and wrote that everything can be taken from a person except one thing: the freedom to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances. Covey takes this further. Proactive people focus their energy on their circle of influence, things they can actually affect. Reactive people obsess over their circle of concern, things they worry about, but can't control. Weather, economy, other people's opinions, the past. Where you spend your energy determines whether that circle grows or shrinks. Focused on what you can't control, and your influence contracts. You feel powerless. Focus on what you can control. Your beer, your attitude, your effort, and your influence expands. Proactivity is an optimism. It's responsibility. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Covey asks you to imagine your own funeral. Seriously. Picture for people speak. Family member, a friend, a colleague, someone from your community. What do you want them to say about you? Not what they will say. What you want them to say. If you live the life you're capable of. And this is where most people realize they've been climbing the wrong ladder entirely. Most people spend their lives working toward goals they never truly chose. Career paths their parents approved. Lifestyles society celebrates. Achievements that look impressive, but feel empty when you reach them. They're incredibly efficient, but they're efficient at the wrong thing. Covey calls this leadership versus management. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. You could manage your way to the top of a ladder, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. No amount of speed or skill fixes that. You climbed the wrong building. Beginning with the end in mind means defining your personal mission, the principles and purposes that should guide every major decision. Not what you want to achieve next quarter, what you want your life to have stood for. When it's over, write a personal mission statement. It sounds abstract, but once you have clarity on your deepest values, decisions become simpler. Opportunities that don't align reveal themselves immediately. Distractions lose their power. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally, building towards something that actually matters to you. Habit 3. Put first things first. Knowing your mission is one thing. Living it daily is another. Habit 3 is about execution, but not the way most people think. Covey introduces a time management matrix with 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent and important crises. Deadlines. Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important planning. Relationships. Growth. Quadrant 3, urgent, but not important interruptions. Busy work. Quadrant 4, not urgent and not important time wasters. Most people live in Quadrant 1, firefighting, reacting to crises. When they're exhausted, they collapse into Quadrant 4, mindless scrolling, escapism. They neglect Quadrant 2 entirely. But here's what changes everything. Quadrant 2 is where effectiveness lives. Quadrant 2 activities don't scream for attention. They're important but not urgent. Building relationships, planning strategically, exercising, learning. Preventing problems before they become crises. These are the things that create long-term results, but they're easy to postpone because there's no immediate penalty. Until there is. Neglect your health long enough in Quadrant 1 adds a medical emergency. Neglect key relationships and Quadrant 1 adds a divorce or estrangement. Neglect prevention and Quadrant 1 becomes your entire life one. Crisis after another. Effective people schedule Quadrant 2 first. They don't find time for what matters. They block it. Protect it. Treat it as non-negotiable. Because if you don't prioritize what's important, urgency will fill every available hour and nothing meaningful will ever get built. Habit 4. Think win-win. Most people approach interactions with a scarcity mindset. If you win, I lose. If I succeed, someone else fails. There's only so much to go around, so relationships become competitions, negotiations become battles, and trust erodes. Covey calls this win-lose thinking, and it's everywhere. In business, in families, in friendships, one person's gain is another's loss. But there's another way, win-win, an agreement or solution that benefits everyone involved. Not compromise where both sides lose a little, a genuine outcome where both parties feel they gained something real. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think win-win is naive. It's not. It's the only sustainable model. Win-lose might work short-term. You force a deal, you manipulate an outcome, but the relationship is damaged. Trust is gone. Long-term, you've created an enemy or a resentful partner. Win-win requires more creativity, more patience, but it builds relationships that compound over time. If win-win isn't possible, Covey says the mature response is no deal. Walk away. Don't force a bad agreement just to avoid conflict. Respect yourself and the other person enough to say, we're not aligned right now, and that's okay. This requires abundance mentality, the belief that there's enough for everyone, that someone else's success doesn't diminish yours. That collaboration creates more value than competition. It's not soft, it's strategic. And it's the foundation of every high-trust relationship. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Here's a pattern you've experienced 1,000 times. Someone tells you a problem. Before they finish the sentence, you're already preparing your response. Advice, comparison to your own experience, a solution. You're not listening to understand. You're listening to reply. Covey calls this autobiographical listening. You filter everything through your own frame. Oh, I had that same problem. Here's what I did. You think you're helping, but the person doesn't feel heard. They feel dismissed. But here's what nobody talks about. Most communication failure isn't about speaking clearly. It's about listening poorly. Empathic listening is different. You listen to understand not just the words, but the feeling, the intent, the context underneath. You reflect back what you're hearing. You ask questions. You give the person space to fully express what they're experiencing before you offer anything. This is uncomfortable. It requires you to set aside your own need to be right, to be helpful, to control the conversation. But when someone feels genuinely understood, something shifts. Defenses drop. Trust forms, and suddenly they're willing to hear your perspective. Not because you argued better, but because you earned the right to be heard. Diagnosis. Before prescription, doctors don't prescribe without understanding the problem. Why do we constantly do it in relationships? Habit, seis. Habit, seis, and synergies. Synergy is what happens when 1 + 1 equals something greater than 2. Not addition. Multiplication. 2. People with different perspectives, different strengths, different experiences come together, and the solution they create is better than either could have produced alone. But synergy only happens when there's high trust, when people feel safe to disagree, when differences are valued, not feared. And this is exactly where most teams and relationships fail. They avoid conflict instead of harnessing it. Most groups either suppress differences to keep the peace or fight to prove who's right. Neither creates synergy. Real collaboration requires what Covey calls creative cooperation, bringing different viewpoints into open dialogue, exploring tension constructively, and building something new together. Think about the best solutions you've ever been part of. They almost always came from combining perspectives that seemed incompatible at first. The analytical person and the creative person, the cautious planner and the bold risk-taker. Alone, each is limited. Together, they cover each other's blind spots. Synergy is the payoff for mastering habits 4 and 5. Win-win creates the mindset. Empathic listening creates the trust, and synergy is the result solutions nobody could have reached alone. What this book is really about. Strip away the 7 habits, the frameworks, the quadrants, the principles, and what remains is a single, foundational argument. Effectiveness is an inside-out process. You can't fake character long-term. You can't manipulate sustainable results. Shortcuts might work once, but they collapse under pressure. Real change starts internally with how you see, how you think, how you operate when no one is watching. And this is where the book stops being about productivity and starts being about identity. The habits aren't a checklist. They're a developmental sequence. You become proactive. You take responsibility for your life. You define your mission. You clarify what matters. You prioritize accordingly. You build what you said mattered. Then you're ready for relationships. Win-win. Empathy. Synergy. None of that works if you skip private victory. This is why most leadership training fails. It teaches techniques without addressing character. It hands people tools without building the foundation to use them well. You can't inspire trust if you're not trustworthy. You can't lead with vision if you don't have one for yourself. The habits are cumulative. They build on each other, and you can't skip steps without losing the structure. Covey is arguing for something deeply countercultural. That principles matter more than tactics. That long-term thinking beats short-term wins. That becoming the kind of person who naturally produces good results is more valuable than learning tricks to fake them temporarily. And here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. This takes time. There's no shortcut to character, no hack for integrity, no life hack that replaces doing the hard, slow work of aligning your behavior with your values until it becomes who you are. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. There's a man sawing down a tree. He's been at it for hours, exhausted, sweating, making almost no progress. Someone walks by and says, "Why don't you take a break and sharpen the saw?" The man replies, "I don't have time, I'm too busy sawing." That's habit 7. Renewal. The habit that sustains all the others. Covey divides renewal into 4 dimensions: physical, exercise, nutrition, rest, mental, reading, learning, writing, social, emotional, relationships, service, empathy, spiritual, values, meditation, reflection, meaning. Most people neglect at least 2 of these. They work constantly, but never renew. They run on willpower until it runs out. Then they burn out, wondering why discipline failed. You are not weak for needing renewal. You're human, and humans require maintenance. Think about your phone. You charge it every night. Nobody calls that weakness. Why do we treat ourselves differently? You don't push through exhaustion as proof of toughness. You rest so you can keep going sustainably. Sharpening the saw isn't selfish, it's strategic. An hour spent renewing gives you energy and clarity for the next 10. Skipping it might feel productive short-term, but long-term, you're sawing with a dull blade, working harder for worse results. The 7th habit is what makes the other 6 last. You can be proactive for a while on willpower alone, but without renewal, you'll revert. The system breaks, and everything you built unravels. The question this book is really asking you: look at your life right now. Not what you say matters. What your time and energy actually reflect. Are you proactive or reactive? Do you have a clear mission? Or are you drifting? Are you prioritizing quadrant 2 or drowning in quadrant 1? Are your relationships transactional or built on trust? Are you renewing or running on fumes? You are not broken for struggling with these. But here's what changes the moment you face them honestly. The habits aren't about perfection. They're about direction. You don't master them once, you practice them daily. You fail, notice, adjust. The goal isn't to never be reactive again. It's to notice reactivity faster and choose differently next time. This is a book about becoming, not achieving. Who you're becoming is more important than what you're accomplishing, because what you accomplish flows from who you are. Change the character, and the outcomes follow naturally. Stephen Covey isn't offering you a productivity system. He's offering you a way of life, a framework for building effectiveness that lasts, because it's rooted in principles that don't change when circumstances do. Remember the man on the subway? Same situation. Completely different meaning once you understood the context. That's what this book does. It doesn't change your circumstances. It changes the lens you see them through. And when the lens shifts, everything shifts. You have 2 paths. One is reactive, letting life happen to you, responding to urgency, chasing what looks important to everyone else, wondering why it never feels like enough. The other is proactive, choosing your response, defining your mission, prioritizing what matters, building relationships of trust, renewing so you can sustain it. Both paths require effort, but only one builds something that lasts. The 7 habits aren't easy. They require honesty you might not want to face, discipline you're not sure you have, patience that feels counterintuitive in a world obsessed with speed. But they work, not because they're clever, because they're true. Private victory comes before public victory. Character comes before skill. Principles come before tactics. And who you're becoming matters more than what you're achieving. The question isn't whether you know the habits, it's whether you're living them. And that answer built one day. One choice, one habit at a time is your life.